everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's lesson, we are going to look at how to answer contest questions correctly. So I believe everybody have known already, SPM Bible Knowledge starting 2021 will have a new format which is called KSSM, and then the new format for this SPM Bible Knowledge examination is over here. You can take a look at this, but if you want to know the details about this SPM Bible Knowledge KSSM syllabus, you can have a look at my other video. I will put the link in the description, or maybe you can click at the card over here so that you can go and check it out and understand more about the new format in more details. Okay, but over here we are going to look at over here, so we can see that there are three sections: section A, B, and C for the new format. And then today we are going to focus on section A and section B because these two parts are the part where it is about the contest questions. Okay, so for section C we are not going to focus on today because section C is the HOTS question and the essay questions, and then we are not going to focus on that today. We are going to focus on the section A and section B only, okay, which is the contest question. So in examination for KSSM SPM Bible Knowledge, there will be 6 contest questions, 3 from Luke and 3 from Acts. The total marks for these two parts, which is section A and section B, are 30 marks. And then students are required to answer all of the questions. Okay, so here is this is just a rough idea on what is going to be tested in your examination for section A and section B. And next, let's look at the common mistakes made by students in the exam. Firstly, students did not answer completely. What is the meaning of this? It is sometimes because students, they may think that the examiner must be a Christian also. So the examiner may already understand what am I writing, so I don't need to write so many. Actually, if you have this thinking, this is actually wrong, because you need to answer your answer incomplete, then only the examiner can give you marks. Okay, so try to prevent this mistake, which is didn't answer completely. Next, a lot of students also didn't look at the Bible verse given. In contest question, actually they will give you a Bible verse and then the questions below. So the Bible verse is actually a key for you to know what is your answer, and then which category is it in. Is it a miracle? Is it an event? Or so on. So if you didn't look at the Bible verse given, a lot of times you may answer the questions wrongly. So you cannot get the marks over here. So looking at the Bible verse is extremely important. I really emphasize and really want students to look at the Bible verse before answer the questions. Lastly, a lot of students also tend to make careless mistakes, especially during contest question. Because during examination, a lot of students may feel afraid or maybe feel stressed. They may maybe be panicked during the examination. So a lot of times they may have careless mistakes. It's not that they don't understand, it's just that they suddenly panic, and then they may have a lot of careless mistake. Right answer, maybe you write wrong already. So it is very important for students to check your answer again and again to make sure that the answers that you write are correct. Okay, so now let's look at how to answer contest question correctly. Firstly, look at the Bible verse, like what I have said just now, and then later I will show you some examples why looking at the Bible verse is so important. Next, look carefully at the questions, because you are answering the question, right? If you didn't look carefully at the questions, then sometimes you may answer wrongly, or maybe answer some answer, or maybe you write down some answers that's totally not related to the questions. Thirdly, let's look at the marks given. In your examination, besides the question, they will give you marks over there. So look at the marks before you answer the questions. If it's only costing you 1 mark, then most probably the answer will be a short one. If it costs you 3 to 4 marks, then most probably your answer should be a long one. And then number 4, we have to answer it slowly. And number 5, we have to check our answer. This is to prevent us from making careless mistakes. Of course, you also have to do some time management. You also cannot put too much focus on contest question because you still have essay question, right? Try to do some time management over there, and then try to answer it carefully. After you answer the whole exam paper, if you still have time, don't waste your time over there. Try to look back at the questions again. Try to look back at your answer again. This is to prevent you from writing or answering some questions. Maybe you answer it wrongly without you knowing it. So when you do your double checking, then it can help you to answer it correctly, to change your wrong answer to correct. Okay, so now let's look at some of the examples. Maybe you can have a better idea on what am I saying. So firstly, let's look at SPM 2019. Okay, as the men were leaving Jesus, Peter said to him, Master, how good it is that we are all here. We will make 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. He did not really know what he was saying. This is the part where it's taken from the transfiguration of Jesus. So from this Bible verse, we can already know that this is taken from transfiguration of Jesus. So my answer is most probably taken from this incident only. So you don't need to think about other incident first. You put your focus on transfiguration of Jesus first when you answer this part. Okay, so the first question, name another person who was present at this event. Okay, so over here, some students, they may write Moses and Elijah, or maybe they will write Jesus or Peter. But over here, you have to look carefully. At the Bible verse, it has already given you Jesus, Peter, Moses, and Elijah. So most probably your answer will not be them lah, okay? So and then over the questions over here, it also write another. Another, that means you have to write people aside from these 4 characters written at the Bible verse over there. Therefore, your only answer is James or John. You can write either one of them. Okay, so let's look at the second question. Mention the changes that happened to Jesus before these words were spoken. Okay, before Peter actually said this, actually there's some changes with Jesus, right? Jesus' face changes appearance and his clothes become dazzling white. This is the answer for the second question. So face changes appearance, this one will give you 1 mark, and then his clothes become dazzling white will give you the second mark. Now let's look at the third question. The third question, it asks, what do Moses and Elijah represent? So over here, like this question, it wants the students to understand what do Moses and Elijah represent. Not only just memorizing or Moses and Elijah just appeared, but understand why do Moses and Elijah appear. Okay, so over here, actually, this question you can also find from your textbook also. So you can also have a look at your textbook. But over here, I will just give you the answer. Moses was the great lawgiver. And then Elijah was the great prophet. So both of them actually represent the law and the prophets, which is the old covenant of God. So basically, Moses and Elijah represents the old covenant of God. But over here, you can see it is 2 marks. So you cannot just write they both represent the old covenant of God. So this is like a very short answer, right? So you need to explain more. You need to explain what do Moses represent. You need to explain what do Elijah represent. Then only you write they both represent old covenant of God. Okay, so let's look at the second question. The second question, this question is also a question that is, it's not difficult, but it's kind of a bit tricky. Okay, so let's look at it. Joseph went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to the town of Bethlehem in Judea, the birthplace of King David. This is taken from Luke chapter 2, verse 3. Okay, over here, sometimes the Bible verse at there, it can give you some clue also. Where is this incident? Like, for example, you can see that it is from Luke chapter 2. So Luke chapter 2, you can roughly know that it is from the part where Jesus is born, right? Not it is most probably the part about Christmas, right? So over here we can see that this is the part of the birth of Jesus. And then Joseph went from Nazareth to Bethlehem over there, which is the birthplace of King David. So firstly, why did Joseph go to Bethlehem? Okay, so this question is a question that some students may answer it wrongly. They may write, this is the wrong question, this is the wrong answer. Listen, okay, they may write, Joseph went back to Bethlehem because he wants to marry Mary, or maybe because he was promised in marriage to Mary. Okay, this answer is actually wrong, because the main reason why Joseph went back to Bethlehem, it is because actually Emperor Augustus ordered the census to be taken throughout the Roman Empire. And then everyone went back to register himself, each in his own hometown. And then Joseph went to Bethlehem because he was a descendant of King David. So we can see that this is the correct answer. So sometimes contest question, a lot of students may answer it wrongly, or maybe they may have some careless mistake, or maybe they didn't look carefully at the answer, at the questions, then only they answer. So it is quite important for all of us to process the question first, then only you answer it. Okay, because sometimes you need to think twice before you answer the questions. Like this question for the first question over here. So you also have to put the priority for the most correct answer. Like for example over here, why do Joseph go to Bethlehem? The main reason is because Emperor Augustus ordered this census to be taken, right or not? It is not because he wants to, because he was promised in marriage to Mary, right? So the answer, the correct answer over here is Emperor Augustus ordered the census to be taken throughout the Roman Empire, and then Joseph went back to Bethlehem because he was a descendant of King David, because Bethlehem is the town of David and it is the birthplace of King David. So Joseph went back to there. So hopefully all of you answered the first question. So now let's look at the second question. Who went with him? Okay, so over here we can see that actually Mary, who was promised in marriage to him, went back with him. So this is the correct answer. Now let's look at the third question. What happened in the town of Bethlehem? Okay, so we can see that actually Mary was pregnant during the time, and while they were in Bethlehem, the time for her to give her baby, and then she gave birth to her first son, wrapped him in clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them to stay in the inn. You can see that this question is not difficult. I believe all of you understand this part, but it's just sometimes maybe students may answer it wrongly because of careless mistake. So you can see Bible knowledge, the questions are actually, if you read the Bible, if you understand the passage, I believe it is not difficult for you. So encourage students to really read the Bible more, read your textbook more, read the notes over there, and understand the passages before you go for examination. Okay, now let's look at SPM 2009. This is taken from the part where Jesus was presented in the temple. So they took the child to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord, as it is written in the law of the Lord. Okay, Luke chapter 2, verse 22 to 23. This question is also a tricky question, but it's not a difficult question. Okay, so let's look at this part. Where in Jerusalem was the child presented? Okay, this one I believe a lot of students also can answer. It is actually the temple, right? So you can write Jesus was presented, or the child was presented in the temple at Jerusalem. Okay, now let's look at the second question. What was written in the law of the Lord? Okay, if you didn't look at the Bible verse up there, then you will not know how to answer this question because you do not know which law is it referring to, right? So over here, looking at Bible verse is very important. Like you can see over here, so they took the child to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. So we can see that this is the part or the ceremony of presentation of the firstborn. So what was written in the law of the Lord? Every firstborn male is to be dedicated to the Lord. So it's very important for you to look at the Bible verse and then relate it with the questions below. Now let's look at the third question. What sacrifice did they offer and what did this show about their background? Okay. Before we go to this question, actually this question is asking you about what sacrifice did they offer. But the sacrifice that they offer over here is not for the ceremony of presentation of firstborn. It is for the ceremony of purification, right or not? So they went to offer a pair of dove or 2 young pigeons. And then not only that, you also have to write what does this show about their background. So look carefully at the questions. There are 2 questions over here. Okay, what did they offer and what does this show about their background? So they went to offer a pair of dove or 2 young pigeons. This shows that they are poor. Okay, so your complete answer should be they went to offer a pair of dove or 2 young pigeons. Okay, a sentence, and then you can get 1 mark. And then the other sentence is this shows that they are poor, and then you can get another mark. Okay, so again, look carefully at the question. Sometimes they may combine 2 questions in 1 sentence. Okay, now let's look at the last questions. Okay, name the other ceremony involved on this occasion. Okay, actually, I have given these questions to my students to do it before, but some students actually answer the ceremony of presentation of firstborn. So most probably they didn't look at the Bible verse on the top, and then you write the ceremony of presentation of firstborn because the Bible verse has already shown you that it is the ceremony of presentation of firstborn. So the correct answer for the 4th question is the ceremony of purification, because it is true, right? Because the Bible verse has already given you presentation of firstborn. So the other one should be purification, right? So a lot of students, because they didn't look at the Bible verse, and then because they saw the 3rd question, which is the ceremony of purification, then they thought that the 4th question should be presentation of firstborn. So over here, also remind all of you to look carefully at the Bible verse and then relate the Bible verse with all of the questions down below. Okay, so it is very important for you to remember this before you go for examination or before you do any exercise. Okay, lastly, let's look at the last question over here. This is taken from trial 2016, and this part is taken from Acts. Okay, and when they came together, he gave them this order: do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift I told you about, the gift my father promised. John baptized you with water, but in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. This is what Jesus has said to his disciples before he was taken up to heaven. Okay, so when did Jesus say this to his apostles? Actually, he said this with his apostle 40 days after his death. Okay, so over here, the Bible verse also told you that in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. Right now, so on which day was this fulfilled? This is the second question. So this actually, on which day was this fulfilled? This was fulfilled during the day of Pentecost, right? On the 50th day after Passover. Okay, it is Pentecost, and then on Pentecost the Holy Spirit has come already. Okay, the last question: describe the event that took place in the house when they were baptized with the Holy Spirit. Actually, the answer over here is taken from Acts chapter 2. Okay, so all the believers were gathered together in one place. Suddenly, there was a noise which sounded like a strong wind blowing, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. Then they saw what looked like tongues of fire which spread out and touched each person there. They were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to talk in other languages as the Spirit enabled them to speak. So this is the correct answer, and that is the complete answer for this whole part. And so over here, this is all of my advice for you when you try to answer your contest question. Hopefully this video can help you to understand some of the technique for answering contest question and some of my advice, like look carefully at the Bible verse, look carefully at the questions, and so on. Also, I also encourage all of you to do more trial papers and past year paper. Okay, because if you do the trial paper or past year paper, you can check your answer again and again. Maybe you can ask your teachers for more advice. Because for Bible knowledge, doing past year questions really helps. Especially if you try to do the trial paper. Because for trial exam, they will give you your answer over there. So after you answer your question, you can double check with the answer whether it's correct or not, and then you can also see how many marks is it given, or how do the examiner mark your question. If you want to download this trial paper or the past year exam, okay, you can go to the description and then you can click the link and then you can go and download it at the website over there. Okay, so this comes to the end of our video. Hopefully this video helped you to understand more about contest question, and then if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you have any opinion or maybe some advice to help my videos to be better, you can always leave a comment down below to help me improve myself. Okay, I will see you guys in my next video. God bless you all. Bye bye.